I think a couple things just to recap Saturday, and after having watched the tape Saturday night and Sunday with the staff, and then this morning with our players, I think there's a lot to be learned from, your mental intensity and your energy that you bring and that you provide, regardless of your role, but two, regardless of the phase. I didn't think we started the game very well in any phase Saturday night. We got a punt our first series of the game. Our defense takes the field. We're not tackling very well. They're converting third downs. They're moving the football. We get the ball back, and we end up going down and scoring. Our first kickoff, we kick it out of bounds. They drive down again. Then they come back on special teams, onside kick, get it. Then they run the trick play, touchdown. So the start of the game was not up to the standard for which we've set, and that's the whole key, right? We have a standard at which we want to play the game of football, and we didn't play that way early in the football game. The positive of that was we didn't stay in that rut. We didn't stay kind of a little bit lethargic with the lack of mental intensity and the lack of energy. I thought we fought ourselves through it. I thought obviously the offense producing 10 more points after that, defense getting a stop on third down, special teams starting to cover the kicks, and so it started to pick up steam as we went. And then clearly that just bled right over into the second half and the way we play. I credit the coaches on our staff at halftime for making some good adjustments. Like I said, there's some things there that were different that we hadn't seen. Credit UTSA, they came up with a heck of a game plan and really challenged us. And I credit our players for their resiliency to overcome the adversity that we got faced with. So all in all, that was a good win for us. I think we needed some of the things that happened in that game. I think those are things that we can build from and grow from. And, that was the end of kind of the preseason. We know Saturday we go play a heck of an opponent, Texas Tech. And Coach McGuire's done a great job. They're a very strong team in all three phases. They move the football. They can throw it at a high level. They have the ability to run it. Playing really good defense, really good run defense. They've got some pass rushers, and they play hard on team. So we got our work cut out for us heading into a hostile environment. So we need a great week of preparation.
Steve, after that 81-yard run that Alabama had, Jalen Ford has really settled in. It seemed like even after that blitz that y'all sent him on, that he got the sack, that his confidence has just gone through the roof. What have you seen from him? And just talk about his progress.
Well, Jalen, to me, he's a really, got a high football IQ. He's athletic, he's physical. He's got a high football IQ. He's around the football a lot. You don't come out of a game, with 15 tackles, not having some awareness, not having the ability to get around the ball. I'm sure, and I know we feel the same way, there was probably some more opportunities. That could have been close to a 20-tackle day for him, which is a credit to him. That's a credit to his awareness, his ability to find the football, to get around the ball. Like I think speaking on behalf of the team, I didn't think Jalen's trigger was ready to really go right off the bat, but then he settled in and had a really nice football game for us. So, we're very fortunate to have him. You never know when a player's taking that next step in your program, but Jalen has. He's a guy that I felt like came on late last year. Thought he had a good spring. I'd been mentioning him throughout spring, throughout fall camp, and he's kind of proved me right. He's played really well for us these first three games, but I agree. There was a moment there in the Alabama game where I thought he took a step, and the moment wasn't too big for him, and he's been playing good football for us.
In the middle, Kurt.
The way y'all played the last three quarters, outscoring them 34-3. Do you feel like through three games the team has done enough where you trust them and the team trusts itself?
I think so. We put these guys in a lot of strenuous situations in practice. Clearly, we've been in three different styles of ball games, and we've done a lot of work kind of culturally as a team. And I got a lot of faith in these guys that they're going to respond to whatever situation arises, whatever adversity they get faced with. I go back to 2 weeks ago in the Alabama game to, kind of fighting our way into that game, tie game, finally getting the lead, them scoring that touchdown late, and us going down and kicking that field goal. That wasn't like, oh my gosh, we lost it. That's it. We fought back. I go back to this game Saturday to be down 17-7. Nobody blinked. Nobody said, here we go again, which I think a year ago we may have. I don't want to say for sure, but we may have. And, we just stayed the course. And so I do have a lot of faith in our team. I think we've got great leaders. I think we're a hungry team. I think we believe in ourselves. I think the players believe in their ability to play good football. And in the end, it comes down to executing, comes down to playing a physical brand of football, taking care of the line of scrimmage, and then finding a way to create those explosive plays. I'd be remiss if I didn't say something either about the last 2 games. No turnovers. I think our ability to protect the football, not put our defense in any short field situations, forcing our opponents to drive the length of the field. So our ability to take care of the football has been another big factor in the way we're playing right now. So that's been a definite positive as well.
Over here on your far left, Setter.
Hey, Steve, I know leadership takes on different forms. There's a video of Junior Angilau breaking down the team in the locker room. How important is his mentorship and leadership, despite the fact that he's not going to play another game this year?
Well, Junior's been an integral part of our team. He's on our leadership committee. He's been a guy who's been around here, who's been through some of the ups and the downs. I think he was excited for the senior year of being with this team and where we had come to get to this point. So, like I tell the guys, everybody's got a role in our program. Everybody's got a role in this organization, and Junior's got a great leadership role. We've got a lot of young offensive linemen that lean on him. Think about Cole Hudson, playing that guard position, or DJ Campbell. And I think Junior's, obviously got a great deal of respect on our team. And if you saw that video, I think when you saw the response of the team when Junior got called up, I think one speaks volumes for Junior and who he is and how the team feels about him. But two, I think it speaks volume for our team and where we're at from a connectivity standpoint, that they're celebrating one another regardless of a guy who's out for the season or a guy who may have rushed for, 3 touchdowns and whatever Bijan did. It doesn't matter. We're all pulling for one another, whatever opportunities you get. And so I think those are some cool moments that we get to have as a team that, to me, that's the chemistry. That's the secret sauce, that I think we're onto something. And it feels good. It feels right. So that was a great moment for us.
Up front, the middle, Dennis.
Coach, you're talking about the improved culture, and I'm assuming that played a big part in the bounce back on Saturday. How much is that going to serve you guys as you go into a hostile environment and start things on the road?
Well, I think it's big. Our first road test, obviously, and conference game. Rules being what they are, we only get to bring 70 players on the road, so a limited roster size compared to what we've had for home games. I think the reality of it is this is when you got to really lean on one another. And this is when, regardless of the circumstances, adversity is going to strike Saturday. I don't know when. I don't know how. I don't know what shape, form. The reality is we got to keep leaning on one another and not get fragmented. And I think our guys understand that. It'll be a great environment for football. This is what it's about. This is going on the road in a game like this against a quality opponent. That's if you love football, you love this opportunity, and I think that's the approach our team is taking.
Hey, Coach. I'll take any quarterback injury update you'll be willing to share this morning. And the second part, though, is what is kind of your injury protocols, the Sarkisian injury protocol throughout the week? Do you need to see guys practice by a certain time or frame in order for them to play on Saturdays?
Yeah. They all practice today, which is a positive. Okay, so that to me is a really good sign. Last Monday they didn't all practice, so to have the point to where we are today from the quarterback situation, they were all out there, which is a great sign. And it wasn't, everybody was in there doing their team drills and different things. I think it's the progress that Quinn's making. I think it's HUD's ability to bounce back after playing Saturday and the ankle to feel good enough to go today. So, and Malik had a good practice today as well. So a lot of positives there from those guys practicing. My protocol is this, in that I just don't believe that you can play good football on Saturday if you don't practice throughout the week. Somewhere in here you have to be able to practice. And it's not so much the physical aspect of the game, it's the mental component of the game, that you're accustomed to dealing with an ache or a twinge or whatever's bothering you, because that can serve as a distraction in game if that's the first time that you start to go do it. So, for example, if I've got a sore ankle and I don't practice all week, and all right, but I'm going to play on Saturday, and the first time I come out of a break, that ankle, I feel that twinge of the ankle. Now all of a sudden my focus and my attention isn't on what it needs to be because I'm finally felt my ankle twinge a little bit. So to me, it's not about always being 100%. Nobody's 100%, at this point in the season. So the point is you have to feel those bumps, bruises, aches, pains, and things throughout the week some, so that when you feel them in game, it doesn't distract you. You can still stay focused on what you need to be focused on. So I'm a believer in practice. I'm also a believer in taking care of our players in the right way. But there's definitely a difference between pain and injury. When you're injured, you're out. When you have pain, we learn the value of perseverance. We learn the value of working through it and getting yourself in position to perform at a high level.
Did you appeal the targeting call on Roschon, and what does the process look for like that? What does the process look like for that, and when might you get a resolution on that?
Yeah, we appealed. We sent it in yesterday. It's a form and video that you fill out, and so we'll see. I don't know. I haven't heard back yet, and I don't know the exact timetable. But yes, we've appealed it. Yeah, Donovan Smith is, he's a big physical guy. I see Malik today, and I'm like, wow, I wonder if this guy kind of looks like him, because he has a great arm. He's got big-time arm talent. You see him use his legs. You see him in the overtime against Houston, tuck it and score. So he's a guy that, can hurt you dual threat, but I think, you better be prepared to defend his arm first. Because he will cut you quickly. He can make all the throws, but yet he has the ability to tuck it when he needs to, and they got some design runs for him. So, multi-talented guy that definitely deserves a lot of our focus.
Coach, two quick questions. So who decides and how is it decided which player carries the American flag and the Texas flag out of the tunnel? And then Bijan was flagged at 19 miles an hour running in that breakout play. Are there any other cool stats that are not on the stat sheet that would intimidate the opponent like that?
I decide who carries the flags. I just try to make sure we get somebody local, somebody from our great state of Texas to carry the Texas flag. We mix up the American flag, but I think it's a cool honor for the guys that when they get the opportunity to do that. We track a lot of stuff from a stat perspective. I don't know if any of those are very intimidating. I'd like to think Bijan's faster than 19 miles an hour, so I kind of ribbed him about it, quite frankly. But when you get in the open field like that, sometimes you start striding out, because Xavier looked really fast when he was kind of catching up to him. So those guys jab each other quite a bit on that stuff, and we post some of those numbers for them. They're definitely very competitive when it comes to the miles per hour thing. So that's an easy one. But we look at total yardage. We look at explosive movements. We look at a lot of those things. And science is amazing these days, and I'm a big believer in it. As you grow through this, and as we try to help our players prepare to perform and put them in an optimal position to perform, I think science can be a huge factor in that. And there's a lot that can go into it. We've got an unbelievable sports science department that we lean on, and I think the players really lean on too, because it gives them quality feedback and information that can put them in a really good frame of mind to go perform.
Coach, just wondering, have you ever been to Lubbock? And will you seek out the counsel of Chris Beard or David McWilliams or former players about the atmosphere there and how difficult it is to play? But have you ever been there?
I have not been to Lubbock, no, sir. But I've heard it's an unbelievable environment. I'm looking forward to it. I love college football, and you guys know this. Like, this is what it's about, you know. I mean, if we played 12 straight home games, I would never get to go experience what else is out there. And so I'm looking forward to an awesome environment. You know, Coach Beard definitely has reached out to some degree, you know, and we're looking forward to it. Like I said, I mean, hey, there's a lot of places you go, and the opposing fans aren't very happy we show up. Yeah, it is what it is. We're the University of Texas. Nobody likes us. That's okay. We embrace the hate. We'll be ready to rock and roll Saturday at 2:30.
Roger, go ahead.
Coach, Roschon's ability to do so many different things, a lot of the discussion with him is about leadership, but, you know, on the field, and we're seeing him run the Wildcat and the things he does, how valuable is his, you know, diversity?
Roschon's extremely valuable player for us. I mean, you touched on the leadership, and that goes without saying. But what he's doing for us offensively, his ability to run the football on called runs, his ability to block when he's back there with Bijan, his ability to operate the Wildcat, and it looks so seamless and normal. You know, we're not just running, you know, one or two Wildcat plays a game. We've got a whole slew of plays out of this thing that he operates very comfortably. And then what he does on special teams for us, which a lot of times goes unnoticed. I mean, he's putting on a clinic every Saturday running down on kickoffs, the way he's covering kickoffs, what he does on our punt protection team. So he's back there as an off returner or a returner on kickoff return. So this guy's invaluable to our program on a lot of levels, and I'm really happy for Ro. He puts in a lot of work. I know Bijan gets a lot of the praise and the hype and different things, but you know, Roschon Johnson was a big factor Saturday in that game in kind of getting the momentum back in our favor, and you know, couldn't be, you know, we wouldn't be where we are at today without him as a program or as a team right now this season.
Whether it's Bijan or Roschon with the ball, just can you speak to the development through 3 games of your offensive line, the young guys, and whether they've maybe struggled at times or been able to open things up for those guys? Where is that unit? Where does it have to go still?
Yeah, I think we're growing. You know, I always say this, when I'm as a coach, I'm not mentioning offensive linemen. That's a good thing, because when they're kind of unassuming, that means they're just doing their job. And you know, early on in training camp, everyone wanted to ask me about Kelvin Banks. You guys haven't asked me about Kelvin Banks in 3 weeks, okay? That means he's probably doing a pretty good job. And Kelvin's playing pretty good football as a true freshman. You know, he's steady, he's comfortable. You know, I think that combination with he and Hayden Connor on the left side of the line with Jake in the middle has been good. I think the move for Christian Jones to right tackle has been really good for him. He's a different player this year than he was a year ago. I think Cole Hudson at guard has had some really cool moments. He's had some moments, where he struggled some. I think early on last week in the ball game, he had a couple plays he'd love to have back. But what I've been more impressed with as a true freshman, as a young player at that spot, was his maturity to settle down. That didn't manifest itself into him just having a disastrous game where we had to sub him out. He quieted himself, he calmed things down, he played good football. So I think we're maturing on the offensive line. Obviously, that was a heck of a test 2 weeks ago against Alabama, against that front. Came back against a veteran front with UTSA, and this week's going to be no different. Yeah, it's a veteran front for Tech, you know, with Wilson and Hutchings up front. They're great players. They got a veteran linebacking core with Merriweather in the middle. So we got to block a good group here Saturday. And those guys are going to be first time in this environment on the road, and so their focus, their attention to detail, their maturity is going to have to shine through as we grow throughout the ball game.
Coach, the guys not being triggered up and emotionally ready to go where you wanted them at the beginning of the game, who is that on, and how hard is that to fix?
That's on me. I got to get them ready to play. I felt like I was ready to go. I was jumping around in the tunnel. I was fired up, man. I couldn't wait to take the field at DKR again. But clearly I've got to do a better job of making sure that we've got we're in the right frame of mind when that ball gets kicked off. And so that's an easy one. That's on me.
Steve, you were just mentioning Tech's defense. They're number 1 in the Big 12 against the run. Tyree Wilson, you mentioned Krishan Merriweather and then Muddy Waters. Just what stands out about what you've seen from their defense on film?
Well, I think they've got a really good scheme. Coach DeRuyter's a heck of a coach. He's been doing it a long time at a very high level. Got a lot of respect for him. I think they mix their fronts up. They multiple fronts. I think that he does a nice job with his pressure packages, of bringing Waters off the slot, bringing corners from the boundary. He tries to really kind of pressure when the rundowns hit to create some negative plays. I think that they do a good job in the back end of, not giving up the explosive plays when they are pressuring. I think they do a nice job with the safeties as far as trying to eliminate the explosive plays and staying deep in the middle part of the field. So in the end, you have a good scheme with some quality players, and then you execute it. That's how you start to get good numbers. And so I don't think it's a real secret of why they've gotten to where they've gotten to. They've got the right ingredients in place.
Stay over here on the left, center.
Yeah, Steve, if DeMarvion is unable to go in the first half, who's going to have to ramp it up, and how does that change your scheme?
Well, we've got a lot of, great deal of confidence in Tucker Dorsey. This guy's played a ton of football. He stepped in Saturday and played quite a bit Saturday regardless, but he stepped in Saturday and played really good for us. So we'll be okay. Obviously, DeMarvion's a heck of a player. He's a playmaker for us. He can do a lot of different things, but we'll be okay. Would I love to have Agent Zero out there? For sure. But if we don't, we'll get through the half and we'll play good football. We got enough good players over there to get us through the half and then get them back in the second half.
Got time for a couple last ones. Start with Kirk up front.
When Coach Beard went back to Lubbock, he got I guess you'd call it a warm reception and different qualities. I wonder what he's told you specifically about what you should expect.
Well, we'll see. I don't know if I'll get a warm one or not. I imagine I will. I don't know if it'll be as warm as the one he got. I didn't lead them to the national championship game. But hey, I get it. Passionate fans, college town. That's what it's about. Like I said, that's you gotta like these environments. That's the beauty of why we get to do what we do. And so we'll embrace it and we'll go for it.
Hey, Steve, back here. Through the first 3 games, is there a player we haven't talked about or discussed or asked you about that has impressed you, and why is that?
Man, that's a good one. I think a guy who's been playing good football for us, throughout the year has been Jordan Whittington. He's a guy that was having a really good year for us last year before he got injured, has been kind of injury plagued throughout his career. I think he's off to a really good start for us. We've, naturally with the quarterback situation we've had here for the first few weeks, the passing game maybe hasn't clicked the way we would have liked yet, but he's been a pretty steady force for us. He's making some really good plays. He's got great leadership. He does a really good job on special teams, and so he's probably a guy that doesn't get enough recognition because we're not throwing 4 and 5 touchdowns a game right now, but that doesn't mean that he is not having an impact on what we're doing.
Last one.
Oh, thanks. Yes, Coach, I know you guys are about 4 through the season, at this point, so just kind of curious from an evaluation standpoint, maybe what areas would you say have been doing really, really great, some areas that you maybe middle ground, and some others you're maybe concerned, just kind of a quarter evaluation.
I think that just overall the kicking game, we've performed pretty well. We've had a couple missed field goals, but to me, again, that was more operational. I think Burt is kicking the ball well. I think Lance is kicking the ball well. Will Stone is kicking the ball well, but there's a consistency level in a younger player that obviously we're striving for, right? We can't kick the first kickoff out of bounds and then kick everyone else into the end zone. So we're always working on trying to find consistency in our younger players. I was really proud of our team through 2 games on just our effort defensively, the way we were populating the ball, the way we were tackling. we didn't tackle as well Saturday. And the majority of those missed tackles that we had, I think in week 1 we had 6 missed tackles. Week 2 we had 7. Week 3 last week we had 15. But the majority of those missed tackles came early in the game. I think we got it rectified and got it fixed. I think the players understand it. So that part of it is, I don't want to have those setbacks. I think offensively, balance in our offensive attack. 1 week we're running it great. The next week we're throwing it really well. We didn't run it great. The next week we're running it good again. We're not throwing it great. So finding balance in our offense is really critical to not just our offensive success, but our team success. I think that's when we're most dangerous.